In this video, I'm going to be talking about making the connection to Source. All is one and you are it. That is the name of this video. This is for people who are trying to better understand how to connect to Source, how to realize Source within themselves, and how to better understand the famous phrase of all is one. I feel all is one is a very famous and very simplistic term to represent what the everything actually is, but the simple term all is one simply does not do the actuality justice, does not do the chaotic nature of one justice. So I would like to just better and further maybe explain the all is one phrase, and maybe others will be able to better understand, I think, what it is. And of course, this is my only my interpretation, my opinion. But I've said this in many videos. I've gone over duality. I've gone over everything being duality. It's written throughout everything in this reality. It's what separates this from that. It's what separates here from there. It's what separates you from me. It's what separates above from below. It's what separates male from female, and so on and so forth. It goes on forever. This duality or dual principle is written inside of everything that we know. And the dual principle of separation is solely to keep us from being in that space of one. And that's what I want to talk about. Duality, or the illusion of separation, is created so that we can experience ourselves. The universe becoming aware of itself to experience itself. It's out of love. It's not to be a dirty illusion, a dirty trick. This is the only way we can experience ourselves. What we know day to day is our body, ourselves, the voice in our head, what we carry with us in our vessel. We can go place to place, person to person, but all we know and all we can identify with that we know for sure is us is the internal body, the voice within us that goes wherever we go and speaks to us wherever we go, the one that's always with you. So it's very clear at the beginning of your journey. You are the body, you are the internal self, and this is what you identify as, but instantaneously we're separate from what we're experiencing or perceiving, which is considered the outside world. That would include anybody that you see, any place that you go, and anything having to do with the world outside of your body. They appear separate so that you can experience yourself. See, the term all is one is what happens when the internal consciousness and the external consciousness collapse into the focal point, or into that 0 point of that void, one, and you no longer have a boundary, you no longer have a limit, you no longer have something that separates you from this or that, you no longer have something that separates you from anything at all. And that's when everything becomes one thing. When you slowly eliminate the separation between the outside world and the internal body and narrow that gap, what happens when you join together the outside world and the inside body, and you join them together into a single unity? What happens then? What is the answer then? What is the sum of that? What is the total of combining inside with outside, above and below? And the answer is, it's something that can't be expressed. The only way we can express it is being one. And as I've said, we know ourselves as this half and not that half because we appear as this. We travel through this, and this is what we're identifying with and speaking as and taking information through. So we instantaneously say this is what we are, and we're able to separate us from anything outside of us. And again, the only thing that separates you from the outside world is your very body itself. Your body is what separates you from that. Your body is basically your Kármán line. And the Kármán line is what separates Earth from space, or outer space, is that boundary, that point. Everything we know in a form has a boundary. So when the boundary dissolves and is eliminated, is gotten rid of, what you know as the inside and outside become one. And now here's where it gets fun. If the body, because I say this all the time in videos so it's clear, the mind doesn't live in our bodies. All of our bodies exist inside of the mind of one. And remember, in the mind of one, there is no form, there is no shape, there is no boundary. Everything just is, and it is limitless. It's infinite. So there is no actual form to this mind. So some people want to depict a deity or a person. This is a finite form and a structure. Everything in a finite form is everything that you are now. Rots, dies, is not what actually is. So what happens when you bring... okay, so let me go back to this. The only thing that separates you from the inside and outside is the very mind. So if our minds don't live in our bodies live in the very mind of no form, because if everything is one thing, then everything is a part of this mind. So what's allowing me to experience the outside world and perceive it as separate from myself, the body, is my mind. So when you join together the outside world and the inside body, because remember, they're both an extension of the mind. When you join the inside and outside together, you will realize that you are beyond the inside and outside principle which you know. Anything of the physical outside world is an extension of the mind, which is limitless, of the infinite mind. When you combine the inside and outside, everything becomes one in that moment. And in that moment, there is no experiencing here or there, because here and there are now one place. And that's what I want people to understand, is there is no such thing as here or there. In the physical, we appear to have, be traveling. We can separate and distinguish places. I want to arrive here and leave from there. There is here and there in the physical, but in infinity, there is no beginning and end. There is just now, and that's what the Big Bang is representation of, is just a single snap of an explosion, because an explosion is what best represents chaos. Now, boom, every single thing that we ever know happening in one single second. And that's something I talked about in last video. What we know as a lifetime, what we know as a million years, it doesn't matter how long of a number you can think of. What we know, consciously know, as a trillion years, still, in the space of infinity, happens like that. Now. Big Bang. Boom. Now. So it doesn't matter the duration of time. It can be 100 years, which we consider to be a lifetime, or it can be the past 1,000 years of everything we have on record. It does not matter. Here, it appears to have a conscious duration of time, where we have a duration or a consciousness that can record days, hours, months, or weeks, months, years. But in the space of infinity, in the space of one, time does not exist. Everything is happening in the single second of now. There is nothing that is separate. Everything is immediately now, in that moment of the mind. So to connect to Source, you realize you are that. You are already there. There is no here, there is no there. Just as there is no higher self, lower self. I say this too all the time. All of us are living two identities at the same time. And that's pretty much what Fight Club is about from my psychedelic experience. It made me aware that everybody is split in the brain, and therefore is taking on the role of two separate identities, obviously subconsciously without knowing it. So you are the higher self, and you are the lower self, appearing separate from your own self. And that's why I say everything is a total paradox. Everything contradicts itself. So when people are listening to speakers or philosophers and they say, well, he contradicted himself and he contradicts himself there, your entire life is a contradiction in itself. While it is all you, It is not always you. While all is one, one has to appear as two. Everything is a total contradiction in itself. While what you seek is seeking you, it is you that's seeking you the whole time. You're only chasing your own tail. You're trying to make it to the point or to reach this answer, but the answer is yourself. And that's why I made the meme the other day about you cannot avoid yourself. All you're secretly looking for behind the mask of what you call truth, for the truth seekers out there, all you're looking for in the truth is yourself. And that's why I say, you cannot avoid yourself. You're outside, you're inside, you're in the sun, you're in the moon, you're in the trees, you're in the animals, you're in the people. You're everywhere that you go, and you cannot avoid yourself. All you're looking for is yourself. And you know why we are looking for ourselves? Because beyond the temporary form, we want to know what we are. And the answer is we are everything, which is no form. But we're trying to assume a form, assume a deity, so we have a conscious concept of something to grab onto and hold onto and ground us. But that's where Terence McKenna says, when you're trying to think in these ways, you have to remove all crutches from you. Why are you creating things to hold on to? Because secretly there is nothing to hold on to, but we create these masks, these illusions, and these concepts to keep us holding on to the physical, holding on to the illusion, and preventing us from seeing or reaching that point. And you reach it by realizing you're there already. You're always there. You're chasing your own tail. So the answer that you're awaiting for outside yourself, because most of us are listening to people's videos day in and day out, waiting for that one answer to be revealed, waiting for one person to just give us our answer. And the answer is always you. And that's what Buddha had to find out the hard way. Buddha went from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher, mastering every philosophy, thinking he would be complete. They would reveal his answer, only to realize the answer was himself, but he was trying to avoid himself. He thought the answer was somewhere out there. And it took him meditating in a forest for years to just realize he is the answer. Wait a minute, I separated myself the whole time. And it's just that simple. We begin as the all. We begin as the one. We've never, while in a body, besides psychedelics, outside of psychedelics, on a sober mind, without the psychedelics or medicine or DMT, we've never been in one place. So for the term all is one to be understood through that type of lens, you will never understand without seeing the land beyond the eye, which you will see does not exist because it is all you. There is no separation from the inside and outside. So when you join the inside and outside together, you literally embody that oneness. And that's when you see we are all extensions of one mind. Every person, every place, everything. You and me and here or there are the one mind, appearing separate because we have to. And now I'm going to present a funny question. Me and my friend Addie were talking together, just sharing funny questions, ideas. This is what we do. We like to share questions and just push our minds, just think of funny things. She asked me, and I'm going to quote it, if you were to ever meet yourself, would you like yourself? And of course, I dove deep into the question. If you were to ever meet yourself, would you like yourself? And guess what the answer to that is? In order to formulate an opinion of myself as Tyler, I would have to appear as someone else to formulate that opinion. Because to have an opinion of Tyler, something separate, I have to have an opinion and understanding of myself. The self that views Tyler, to judge him, to decide if I like him, would I like myself? And this is where I tell you, you are in a mirror-verse. We are doing just that with everybody. What you do not like in another is what you do not like in yourself. You're only seeing yourself. You're not seeing anything for what it is. You're not seeing anyone for who they are. You're seeing yourself for what you see and what you are. So that's why you can tell a woman, you are so beautiful. But this is your perception. If she does not believe she is beautiful, she simply won't believe it. She doesn't see that. Doesn't mean she's not. She doesn't see it. But let's just say, I think she's beautiful because I see myself in her. I admire her because I admire myself. I think I'm beautiful, so I think she's beautiful. And it doesn't have to be in a sexual way at all. Admiration, the same way you admire a beautiful scenery and just take it all in and just say, wow, that's so graceful, that's so beautiful. Look at that stream. Look at the trees over there, how they just blow in the wind. It's just beautiful. You can do the same with people. And that's why the trick is seeing yourself in everyone and everything. Once you start seeing yourself in everything around you, you have turned earth into heaven. You've done it. The key here is to learn to love yourself. Well, loving myself is as simple as loving myself, which reflects in everything around me. So I don't have to change anyone else around me. What someone else doesn't like in me is not my problem. I do not live in that problem. They live in that problem. So I do not take that problem on as my own. I realize that what they do not like in me is a reflection in what is housed inside of them. So I don't have to do anything. I accept them as they are, and I see them as I see myself, with love. So I don't have to respond or react to the problem that lives within them that they see in me. I love them for as they are, because I see myself. It is them who doesn't see themselves in me. And so I have a problem, which is only their problem. And so that's the funny thing. If you were to ever meet yourself, would you like yourself? And that's the trick. We're meeting ourselves with every daily encounter in every person that we see. And that's why they say, if you only saw yourself in these people, wouldn't you be more compassionate, more patient, more understanding, more loving? You would not be rude. You would not see a problem in them, and you would realize certain things that we appear as or do, we can't help. We all want to be loved. We all want to be liked. There's certain things that we cannot help, that we may make fun of in another, but if you just realize that's myself and I can't help it, you have more compassion, more understanding. The world becomes more beautiful and softened when you see yourself, which is the love, unconditional love in everything. And that's where you have to realize duality, the dual principle in everything. You have a choice to look right or look left, to create the right side or the left side. There's no purpose over here because everything and nothing are one thing. So there's no purpose over here, which is nothing. But guess what's over here? There's every purpose. There's everything over here. Over here is darkness. The world is a dark place. The world is corrupt. The government's trying to kill us. And over here, an abundance of happiness, abundance of joy, people are getting along. It's what you are paying attention to. And the simplicity in this answer is belittling to some people who want the answer to be so much more complex, who swear that the world is so dark and evil. But they do not realize they are paying attention to this. They are creating this. They are tuning into this. They are feeding it. Because we all share the same space but create a different reality. So what you see is not what I see. You may see corruption in the world, but it's because you are paying attention to it. I don't see corruption. I admire and see the love in everything that I do. Every place that I go. Because I choose that. You could easily go from place to place and just dwell and say, this place sucks, this place sucks, this place sucks, and that place sucks. But you can also choose to see the beauty in every single thing that you do, simply existing and being here now. Because beyond the seeking mind, that's all we're seeking to do, is be here now. Because again, All you're seeking for beyond the moment is you in the now. That's it. You're looking for yourself. And you keep seeking, and you can't be in the now because you still do not realize you're avoiding yourself. All you're looking for is yourself. But you're looking for a self which is that infinite principle, which does not die, which cannot be destroyed. And if that is what you want to become a part of, you have to break the boundary of what you think you are, which is very uncomfortable. It does feel like death, because everything you think you are somewhat comes to an end. It dies. But you are the phoenix. You rise from your own ashes. You rise from your own pain. What breaks you remakes you. But it doesn't remake you weaker. It remakes you 10 times stronger, more confident, more loving, more understanding. There is no negative side effects that I have ever witnessed or heard of from going into this, from working on the self. See, and if many of you are familiar with psychedelics, I've been around a few people that have done them, and when you see people go deep, deep, deep into them, realize they're diving deep into that one mind that I'm talking about. The one mind that exists, remember, it exists beyond the body, so it's out there, but it's not out there. Remember, a total paradox, total contradiction. Because while it's beyond the body, it's still, you're already there. The pineal gland, the projection, the point. The point is what projects all. So in order to experience myself, Tyler, I have to have something in relation to myself, which is you. And through you, I am experiencing myself. Through you, I am viewing myself, because I couldn't perceive myself outside my body. I could never do that. Unless obviously someone had a video camera and you record yourself outside of you. But that again needs another focal point, another lens to view your lens. And that's why I've said, how does a camera view its own self, view its own lens? And it's very simple. Through another lens, through another camera. So by experiencing other people, when we go out into public and we look at people and we judge people, realize you're analyzing and judging yourself. The only way you could ever experience yourself outside of yourself is just how you're doing it now. Outside of yourself. Separate. You appear separate, but there is absolutely no difference in who you call you and me. We are different people. We obviously, our consciousness identifies as a different person. We identify as different things, but again, beyond the surface, beyond the physical, we dissolve into the one mind. Everything does. You and me and him or her, this and that, here and there, all dissolve into the one mind. There is nothing separate. So where you call the sun and the moon, they're one thing. They're not separate. They dissolve into one mind. Everything is an extension of that one mind. And that's why I love what Alan Watts brought to most people's attention, is that you are everything. You are not just the thoughts that tell you, well, I'm hungry, I want to eat. I want to go play sports. I want to go to the beach. I want to go do this. You're not just the thoughts that tell yourself to do that tell the body to do things. You're also the internal process of your body that breaks down the food. There's something in your body telling it to break down the food. You are that too. There's something that keeps the sun and moon in a rotation, that keeps the stars fixed, that keeps everything going. And it is the same constant motion, that is the same constant motion and flowing that flows your very blood and that pumps your organs and everything. The same light that lights us lights the universe, because there is no separate difference. We appear separate because we have to. In order to experience myself, I have to appear outside of myself. And that's why this creation was out of love. When you take the external world and the internal body and combine them together, all you have left to sit in is one mind of nothing and everything. So you can look around in this mind, but realize you're in the absence of space. So there is nothing around, and you cannot be certain of anything in this moment, because there is no inside or outside. And in order to know myself, I have to have an outside or an other. In order to know self, I have to have another, other. You and me. So in order to know me, I have to have you. So if there is no me and you, then there just is. And that's where the famous term, I am that I am, comes in. When you dissolve everything into one mind, the inside and outside, the world and the body, into one, you become a part of that one mind. And all you can possibly consciously know in that moment is the words, I am that I am. There's no other words that can explain what you are in that moment, because you're not me, you're not self, because self implies other. There is no other. You're not me, because me implies you. You're not here, because here implies there. You're everywhere. You're everything. You're everyone. So you're left in the mind, in the singular mind of one, realizing in that moment, it is me. I am the source. I am the one. I am the point. My character, my avatar, Tyler, exists inside of this very mind, this source. I am playing out a character, forgetting myself, because in order to know the principle of what I call God, I have to appear as the below principle of the ego. So by me birthing into my ego, I birth the concept of God. And that is why we all have a different concept of God. We all have a different concept of self. And like I said, you are both of those identities. You are the concept of yourself, and you are the concept of God. Alice and the White Rabbit. You're chasing your own tail into Neverland, or into Wonderland, through Wonderland. You're chasing yourself, and you don't make the realization that you are the it. You never catch it because you are the it. That's why you cannot catch yourself. And you never do. And that's what the Ouroboros represents. Not one that has caught himself, but one that realizes you're always here. You're always here. You've never traveled outside of this point right here. You're always here. That's what the Ouroboros represents. Not one who's caught himself. One that realizes you can't. You are the it. You are the point. And that's literally what cymatics... That's what cymatics show us. If you've ever seen cymatics, sound in motion through an image, cymatics feature in the same principle. They all begin from a point and form some sort of a geometric circle. And that's the same thing that mandalas show us. They show you a singular point birthing out a circle and also creating everything around it and in it. It is the inside and outside. The very point is the inside and outside, both the same. That's what these mandalas are showing you. That's what the principle of the point is, the point. By drawing mandalas, you are literally duplicating the principle to creation, the macrocosmic creation. Because remember, the micro and macro are one and the same. So if you want to understand the universal principle of creation, which it gets no bigger, apply it to yourself and apply it to the universe and realize you are one. There is no difference. You appear outside the universe or separate from the universe because you have to. In order to experience the beach, the room I'm in, outside, the trees, I have to have a body or a boundary which separates and distinguishes myself from the outside world. So that boundary is what is allowing me to experience myself, a self which I could not know otherwise. And that is why this is all love. people who have gone into psychedelics and who have come back saying the answer is love. The answer is simply love. Love is the answer. You are love. That is what they mean. They have seen the land beyond the eye. They have dissolved into that singular mind of one. And you realize in that moment, once you've let go of everything, you realize why it has to be this way. It's not to be a dirty trick. It's not to be a dirty illusion. It's so you can experience yourself, so you can become anything at all. Purely out of love. So some people say, why do we have to be anything at all? Why couldn't we just be nothing? And that's the very trick, is there is no such thing as nothing. Nothing does not exist. There is no such thing as permanent death. You are life forever. You are the life principle. You are what's lighting and igniting every consciousness. You are the voice that speaks through everyone. But again, you create a different person which you will identify as and convince yourself you merely are, because you have to. You are forgetting yourself. You can't begin knowing it's all you. You begin as the all and get lost in your character to separate yourself from that all, only to realize, just like in The Wizard of Oz, you separated yourself from something that you had the whole time, from something that you were the whole time. So if people get nothing from my videos, I hope they get this. Next time you listen to someone that you like, a famous philosopher, a famous speaker, doesn't matter who it is. Alan Watts, Terence McKenna, Walter Russell, Tesla interviews, it doesn't matter who it is. If it's somebody other than you, next time you listen to an interview or anything like that, sit in the conscious observing role of this. This person that I'm listening to is literally myself, but obviously not the myself that is in the birth name. That's not Tyler. It is the me, which is that energy which can never be destroyed, which transfers, which shifts forms. So I realize it through this lens. I am literally listening to myself. In this incarnation, died and rebirthed into me so I could listen and continue the story on. Of course you can't birth and know that was me, I just died and now here I am again. Of course you can't know that. And some people who don't believe in the reincarnation process or the reincarnation anything think that's why, because we don't remember. And some people claim to, but whatever, they think, we can't remember. Well, and some people get caught up and stuck on this question. Who was I in my past life? If you have to ask, who was I in my past life? It shows that's an ego question. And by ego, I just mean a birth name. You're still stuck in you as the birth name. You think you're the birth name. So it is the birth name asking, who was I before myself as the birth name? Because if you're asking who, you don't realize you're not who. You are. You are all of them. It's not merely one. And that's why the greatest error that we've done is worshipped one realization of Christ consciousness. We've worshipped the few realizations teaching you how to find the God within yourself, how to make the connection of yourself. Instead, and that's why I say, listen to these people's stories and realize this is you continuing on. You're continuing on. You've never died. And this is how an energy that can never be destroyed works. On, off, on, off. Now you see me, now you don't. Here I am, here I'm not. This is how an energy which can never be destroyed works. You die, and you go into that absence of time, because time is a conscious duration. So there is no duration of anything when you're asleep, just as there's no duration when you're dead. So when you fall into that deep sleep, there is no time, there is no anything happening. Maybe you may have a conscious dream or something, but there is nothing happening. Sometimes we don't have dreams at all. That void of consciousness is the same void of consciousness in death. But again, you awaken from your sleep to open your eyes and, establish a few thoughts, see yourself and say, okay, I'm back here, and you can establish where you're at and who you are and gather yourself. Obviously, it happens faster than what I just explained. You don't literally have to wake up and say, okay, I'm still in this body, I'm here, but that's what you do subconsciously. And it's the same when we rebirth. Obviously a slower process though. You slowly, as a baby, obviously slower, begin formulating a spoken language, then memories, then an identity, and then becoming that identity, becoming that separate ego, that separate created self. But that's where we never take the time to realize the mind is all. Literally ask yourself, what created the identity that I identify as, and what created the concept I created of God? Because again, in both of the questions, you're saying the word I. You did this. You created both of these characters. I. So, the I is all there is. There is no me, there is no you, there is no separation, there is no higher self, there is no lower self. There is the I appearing separate from itself. And you will only see everything outside of you as you see yourself. It is your mirror. So you could be literally staring at the answer. Again, the all-seeing eye is one of the greatest symbolistic answers that are out there, because it represents that point of creation. It represents the one. It represents one consciousness. You're literally staring at the answer, but again, everything is your mirror, so you can only take in the all-seeing eye in accordance to your own self-awareness. Some people will look at the all-seeing eye and say, Illuminati, Illuminati, I'm not even going to listen to him any further. He's a Freemason, he's this, he's that. I can't hear him any further. Defense mechanisms. Those defense mechanisms protect that ego, that illusory self. It keeps you stuck in your own illusion. And that's why I say, you're only prolonging yourself. You're only avoiding yourself. And that's the trickery of it. By you labeling it evil, Freemasonry, satanic, these are masks which you put in front of your illusion, because you're not ready to face that illusion yet. So you put these masks up and say, it's evil, it's bad. I'm not going to look there. I don't need to. But little do you know, behind that fear is your own liberation. Some people want to live in the illusion that there exists a they out there. There's a they. And by they, I refer to the government. And it's always referred to as they. This group of people, they. They are behind all the corruption, the dirtiness, the killing, the evil doings of the world. This one world government, they. And what we don't realize, most of us who think they have power over us, is they don't exist. Your mind created they. Your mind is living in the illusion where they hold power over you. Because your mind believes it. Doesn't have to be true. A child can convince themselves there's a monster under their bed or in their closet and believes it, therefore it is. Why do you think they cry and they're scared? It's real. To them, it is real. Just as to people who live in this mask or illusion, it is just as real. So you cannot tell someone that it's not real or that it doesn't exist. You can merely show them the doorway to their illusion. You can merely peel back layers to their illusion. And I only do this to people who are ready. Someone who's not ready is obviously going to give you a fight and be hostile. And I don't wish to do that, because I already understand. Some people need to live in illusion, persistent illusion. But the truth of it is, we're all exist in an illusion. We all exist in illusion. Smoke and mirrors, all of us. Just a different dimension, a different frequency to each one. And that's why I say, when people defend their illusion, when people defend their religion, when people defend their beliefs, you need to realize they are not defending their beliefs or their religion. They are believing or defending their illusory self, which exists in these beliefs and in religion. They cannot let go of the self which exists in that illusion. So if you begin peeling back these layers, they will become hostile with you. They will fight. They will resist. They will deny. Same as Neo did when he was freed from the Matrix by Morpheus. He says, no, I won't believe it. It's not true. I can't believe it. Typical ego. And again, the ego is just the birth name, what we're pretending to be. It's such a big download, it's such a big change from what we thought we were, that the ego instantaneously shoots it down and denies it and says, no, it can't be. It can't be me. There's no way. And that's why some people don't get. If I am God, how did I birth myself here? I didn't birth myself here, but again, you couldn't consciously come out of a womb as a baby and realize, well, I birthed myself here as the creator and God of my own creation so that I can blah, 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 blah. No. The point is in the journey. You establishing your identity and getting lost in that identity to realize who you are is the point. You can't just be born knowing anything, because again, there is no one truth. We all have a different truth. So what we all know is different. What we all become is different. And that's the total paradox. While all is one, it is never one thing in the physical. And that's something I tell people who have done psychedelics and have a hard time adjusting back into reality. Do not be afraid of that space. Realize, while all is one, because that's what people who I think go into psychedelics and have a hard time adjusting with reality, have a hard time realizing is it's all me. They get stuck in that mind. It's all me. It's all me. I'm talking to myself. This is all me. They get overwhelmed. They do not know how to transition back into the world. Because we are afraid. Again, we've never been in the place of one mind. We've never had to experience that. The only way to ever know one is to put yourself there while still alive in the body or in your form. Because that is the only way, when you put yourself there through psychedelics, that is the only way you break your boundary. It is a boundary dissolving experience, as Terence McKenna says. And for some need that dissolving. They simply will not and cannot admit it to themselves otherwise. So, when the choice is no longer theirs, they have to submit. And that's what psychedelics does. It drives you to the point of admitting your own illusion and forces you to submit. To admit yourself. To admit to yourself, I am that. It kills off what you think you are, rebirths you, and forces you to admit, this is what I am. Say it. Say it. So you become it. I am that I am. I am. Absolutely. You can do that with meditation as well, but it's just not as intensified, obviously. And I'm sure some people may disagree, but I honestly can guarantee if you have done psychedelics, you will know exactly what I'm talking about and the difference. Because I've reached that state of ecstasy or nirvana through both ways, meditation and psychedelics. And listen when I tell you, there is no comparison between, because when you take psychedelics, you're overstimulating the brain. Google a brain on psychedelics. The brain goes from being lit in a few places to lit the entire front to back, stimulated. Something we've never known. We've never had an overstimulated brain from front to back. That can't be debated. So when you take psychedelics, you are lighting the front to back brain, activating parts of the brain you've never used, never gone into, never thought into, didn't even know existed. And that's where the medicine reveals you to yourself. All those thoughts which you put off, All those fears which you avoid, it rubs your nose in it. It shows you it. You become it. You face it. But again, it rebirths you. It reconstructs you. It shows you you're pretending to be this with a boundary, and you're all this with no boundary. So why are you just pretending to be this? You're so afraid to admit to yourself you're all of this power and potential because you want to just be this limited power and potential. And that's what we're most afraid of deep down. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we are powerful beyond measure. And it's true. It scares ourselves because it means just that. We are it. We are the it that we once thought as a kid was something other than ourselves. Never did we realize or thought we might have to grow up and realize that was us. Again, you only were searching for yourself. I used to think that term applied more so to people without parents, active parents, the people without mothers and fathers who went into searches, because obviously they didn't have their parents. Well, they were only searching for themselves. Well, now I'm realizing that's not the case. We're all looking for ourselves, whether you have parents or not. And that may make sense to some people or not, I'm not sure, but it makes sense to me. When you don't have that dependency or that rock to rely on and your parents, it's tough. You don't have examples, so you're led to seek out and watch. We are, it's just like innate behaviors. We learn through observing, so if we don't have it, we go find it. So that's what I mean by that, but that's what I've come to realize, is we're all searching for ourselves. So the people who call themselves truth seekers, they're only looking for themselves in the mask of truth. That's all. You can call yourself whatever you'd like, but you still only search for yourself. And the reason the human being is looking for the alien is because we're looking for that confirmation in ourselves. We don't realize what we seek seeks us. You are only looking for yourself. So if your mission is to find an alien and an alien finally comes and gives you your confirmation, mind you, it can tell you whatever the hell it wants, but if it just comes and tells you who you are, you still wouldn't be satisfied. You still would have that doubt of, well, are they right? Are they sure? Because I still don't feel confirmed yet that that's who I am. You see? You'd still have the persisting question of who am I, even if an alien themselves came down and told you who you were. It may comfort the question, but then over some time, you go back into the question of, I'm not satisfied. I still don't know who I am. Because that's all we're looking for, remember. So by thinking we're going to find it in something outside of ourselves, in another form, in another place, another being, that's not where you are. You are within the whole time. And that's why I tell people you can't avoid yourself. You're everywhere you go. You're in the sun, you're in the moon, you're in the stars, you're in the water, you're in the trees, you're everywhere. You're only looking for yourself. That's why you analyze things so deeply. That's why you study the rocks and the trees and the scenes so deeply. You're looking for yourself. And you haven't satisfied that answer yet of who am I? And again, if your question is, who was I in a past life? You haven't even reached the tip of the iceberg because you're just asking about one incarnation, one person. Who was I? Not who was I. You are the I itself. You are it. And to me, it helps listening. When I listen to Alan Watts, my mind has completely transformed now. When I listen to Alan Watts, it's so different when you realize the only thing separating you from Alan Watts is you are convinced you are just this identity and character, but realize you are that Alan Watts that died and incarnated into this body to hear yourself. And everything that Alan Watts says is saying just that. He's telling you in his messages, you never die, that we're all one. He's telling you this. So anyone who listens to him and listens knows there's no death. That is you. You listen to yourself. Now you see you, now you don't. On, off. He died so you could incarnate, and he told the story so you could listen. And what do you think we're going to do? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to tell our story, and the next are going to listen. But again, it's going to be yourself. A you that convinces yourself that you were not this one. And that's what we're doing. It totally changes your perspective when you listen to people that you hold with such deep admiration. You think they're such geniuses, so smart, and you hold on to their every word because, well, this is the only way I can connect to source. No, it's not. No, it's absolutely not. Realize it is the same voice that spoke through them that is speaking through you. The only difference in the voice is they're creating a different person. It does not matter whether male or female. It is still a person convincing itself it's something it's not. Therefore, it is still the I am of one, that one mind, the one voice, telling a story, the same story, and becoming a different person. So that's all we are, is different characters, different realizations of our infinite formless self. We have no form beyond the form itself. So when we're searching for what we are beyond the form, we have to realize anything in a form is finite. And if we are infinite, then what we actually are is not in the form itself. So we're not going to find what we're looking for in the physical, in the form. That is the finite. That is the temporary. The reason we're asking still what we are, even though we can see in the mirror what we are, is because we know this is temporary. So you know already, your answers are not in the temporary. They exist in the infinite. And the question there then lies in, how do I tap into the infinite? How do I get into that? Where do I begin? And there's your greatest error. Do not say the word begin with infinity. There is no beginning. There is no point A and point B in infinity. And that's why infinity represents chaos. It's chaos because there is no point A and point B. Separation only exists in duality, in the physical. So here and there are separate because in the physical they have to be, for you to know the difference in here or there. But in the singular mind of the I am, that mind is what's projecting here and there. Here and there are a projection of the same mind. They're physical places to us, but beyond the physical, they're projections from the same mind. Just as me and you, we appear different, we appear separate, we've convinced ourselves we're separate, but in the mind of that I am, we dissolve into one person, one thought. And again, it's something that we've never experienced. I mean, other than people who have done psychedelics or made the deep realization, appearing as one thing is something that we've never known. We've never experienced that as far as we can consciously remember. We've never experienced that because we've always appeared in the illusion. And that's why we're trying to think outside the illusion. We've only ever appeared in the illusion. So we're trying to connect to that oneness, to that space, to that singular void of God, the all-knowing, the powerful. But that's the trick of it, and that's something that I cried my eyes out on psychedelics. I cried like a baby, and I laugh about it now. It's hilarious. I went into the medicine saying, I want to be the all-knowing. I want to know everything. An eager young mind, you know, I wanted to know everything. So it takes me into medicine, and it's like, all right, you're going to know everything. You're going to become everything. You're going to know everything. Are you ready? I start clapping. I'm ready. I'm dancing. Oh yeah, I'm ready. We're ready. I want to know all of it. Okay. So it says this. Not literally, but just for explaining it to you. It says this basically: I'm going to give you all this knowledge, but I'm just going to take away all these people so nobody else exists but yourself. Here you go. Here's all the knowledge. So now you have all the knowing, but I'm going to take away all these people so you have nobody to share it with. There's nobody but yourself. Here you go. Have a ball. Talk to yourself. Enjoy. Good job. You know everything. Now tell somebody. And here I am sitting in this void, knowing everything, and again, you can't put anything to words into it except I am. I am it. And that's all I'm saying. I'm it. I'm it. Oh my God. I'm crying. I'm it. I'm it. Oh my God. It's just me. Freaking out, crying, losing my mind because it's just me. And that's when I realized there's no such thing as knowing all. You don't know all, because when you know all, you dissolve into the one mind, and it is just you. There is no others when you know all, because to know all, you have to become all. That means living out every person, having their memories, their lives, everything they are as you. And when that happens, again, there is no expression for it, because you and me, our memories, our lives are now one thing. So the only way you can express our lives as one is I am. I am it. I am that I am. That's the only way you can express two things becoming one. Because that's all you can know in that space is I am. Again, there is no self. There is no thing to begin taking in information to experience or to create a self out of. Because think about it, in order to become a self and identify with something, we have to take in information telling us what we're experiencing. And through that telling of what we're experiencing, we can base the experience, or we can base who we think we are on that experience. We can bounce who I think I am off of the experience I'm having, off of the information I'm taking. And you'll see they go hand in hand, inside, outside. And that's why I said to people, you are the question and the answer. So the same voice, because think about it, some people have asked, who's sending me my thoughts and my questions? They're coming from somewhere, right? Well, that's the very trick. The same voice that's telling you the question already knows the answer. Because to have the question in your mind, or to have it sent to your mind, means you already know. To ask exists in knowing. You cannot ask about something if you do not know about it already. So to ask means you already know the answer. You are the question and the answer appearing separate. You are here and there appearing separate. You are you and me appearing separate. You are the dual principle appearing separate. But beyond the dual principle, beyond the physical, everything dissolves into the one mind that has no form, that is not physical, that is not here or there. And that's why people have such a hard time when I tell them there is no physical earth. There is no earth that is here or there. We're trying to assume that earth has a location and we know what direction we're going in, but the truth is we're not going anywhere. And some may laugh at this, some may not understand, but that is the very truth to infinity. Always is, always has, always will be. There is no beginning and end. And that's the very trick of a fractal pattern. We as humans are making the very ignorant mistake, not to be mean, but we're making the very ignorant mistake through NASA and these corporations by searching for the Big Bang and all these stars deep in outer space, because they think the answer is deep out there in space, way deep out there. And so all they're doing is increasing the magnification on their lenses, the focal point. They're zooming in further and further and further and further and increasing the magnification. But what does a fractal pattern show you? What does a fractal pattern do? It goes down and down and down and down and down and down to infinity, never ending. That means that it is literally zooming in on itself and zooming in on itself and zooming in on itself, never ending, infinite. If it had an end, it would not be infinite. That would be point A to point B. Finite. Physical. It has no end. It has no beginning. And so the earth is not physical. By us posing the idea that the earth is here or there and we know what direction we're going, it grounds us as far as losing sense of that oneness. That's what all of this does, is grounds us. It grounds us into forgetting we are the only one. So if I can convince myself I know where I'm at and I'm physically here or there, then that physical idea of me being here or there grounds me into the physical, which keeps me in the ego, persisting in the illusion. And that's why I tell people, your answer is not in the physical. If you are stuck in the lenses of the physical and studying the physical and stuck on the shape of the earth, you're making a great mistake. You're looking for something that's not there. And you won't find it until you realize it's you. You are the it. You are that point. That's what fractals show you. Fractal patterns never end. You can zoom into to infinity. In that point, to every fractal pattern, that 0 point is always what you're fixed on and stuck on. When it zooms in and zooms in, you're stuck looking at one little point. Like this one, like the point. Let's say this was zooming in and repeating. You're stuck looking at this singular point, and it appears as if it's coming toward you, but the truth is it's a fractal. So it's never ending. So basically, you can keep chasing this and zooming in and in and in and in and in to eternity, or you can realize that you never reach it because you are the it. You are the it, appearing separate from yourself. So remember, that point, which is at the end of the tunnel, is you, appearing separate from yourself because you have to. You have to appear separate. Inside from outside, they will always be separate in the physical. And that is our greatest error as humans. We're still zooming in on this point and zooming in and zooming in. But what psychedelics did for me was it took me into a fractal pattern where I was zooming in on a fixed point, a dot, and I was literally working myself up trying to get there. And again, in psychedelics, in the psychedelic space, there is no conscious idea of time. There is no duration of time. There is no known time there. So what we know as years here is what it felt like there. I was probably asleep or under for maybe 2 hours, an hour. It felt like I had been gone for maybe 80 years to even try and put an estimate to that. So it felt like for 80 years, and again, I know that's not the actuality of it because there is no duration there, but if I had to try and put a time to how long it felt as if I was doing this, it felt as if it was about 80 years I spent. That's how long it was for me there. Going down, and this is all that was happening, zooming in, and this was just repeating, and all I was doing was staring at the point. Till insanity. And that's what the medicine does. It drives you to insanity until you finally admit, because that's what it did for me. I so frustrated, I'm like, I don't get what the hell this thing's trying to show me. I've been staring at this for like fucking years, you know? I want the answer. What is the answer? And I finally realized I am it. I am the freaking point. That's why I've not made it there. I have still yet to realize and see the point as myself. I see it as something outside myself, and so I chase it. I chase it as if it is not already myself. It is the you that you can never catch, because you have to appear separate from yourself to know yourself. And that's the simple answer right there. To know yourself, you have to appear outside yourself. Because, again, I'll reiterate this. In order to know me, I have to bounce me off of someone else, another, which is you. So I can compare me to you and know me in relation to you because I'm not you. I can bounce myself off of you. But in the space of one, when everything dissolves, there's nothing to bounce yourself off of. There's nothing to ground you. There's nothing to hold on to. There is no concept of time. We exist in time as well. So when the concept of time dissolves, a huge part of us dissolves as well. And that's what Tesla's 369 represents. That's what pi represents. That's what the Fibonacci sequence represents. All these numbers are showing us a value which is undetermined, unknowable, never-ending. They never end, and that's the representation of infinity. And that's why these patterns repeat themselves and are written inside of nature itself. Those patterns are showing us our true nature of what we are, never-ending, repeating, forever and ever and ever and ever. That's what those patterns show us. They converge and converge and converge and converge into a singular point, but never reach the point. Because they never reach the point because it's showing you infinity. That's why you never arrive there. You never make it there, because you are there. And that's for you to realize. The point doesn't become you, and you don't make it there until you realize that point is already you and you're already there. Anything outside of you is already you. And that's why I say you're only searching for yourself in anything outside of yourself. Anyone can come to you and tell you, and again, it can be an alien, it can be a super intelligence. Anyone can come to you and tell you who you are. But over time, even if that question's comforted, that question will still come back to life and ask you, because you have yet to figure out who you are. And that's what we're here for, is to understand ourselves. We're not here to have anyone else understand us or force anyone to understand us. We're here to understand ourselves and why we incarnated here, why we had to incarnate here. That's another huge error I hear a lot in the younger communities about wanting to escape reincarnation and beat reincarnation. They don't have the clarity behind the existence of reincarnation. They do not know why we have to reincarnate, what the purpose is, and so there is fear there instead of clarity. You are afraid of reincarnation, you fear it because you do not understand it. But once you understand what you actually are, you will see that reincarnation is beautiful. It absolutely has a purpose, and that is what keeps us in balance. That is what prevents us from ever having to appear as one thing, as ourselves, from having to ever know it is all us. We're all alone. We are that God. And that's why this is out of love, because we never wanted ourselves to appear as one thing. Again, we wouldn't know. There's no experience. So to experience ourselves, we had to exist in illusion, in separation. And when I say illusion, that doesn't mean real or fake. I want to clarify that. Illusion simply just means a dream. But again, to be asleep or awake does not make a difference, just as in alive or dead. It's the perception you give it. You can look right or you can look left. You can perceive it in a good way or a bad way. But it doesn't matter what you call it. Alive or dead, asleep, awake, they're the same thing. And I say it's good to awaken while in the dream, because that's when, just as a child, we said that, we used to say we wish we could control our dreams and do things in our dreams. And why was that? Because we knew there was magic in these dreams. We knew that what wasn't possible or allowed here was very much possible and allowed there. And when you awaken in the dream, you realize this is the place you unleash your mind, not when you sleep in dreams. This is where the impossibilities are possible. This is where your imagination needs to be unleashed, not in the sleep. Because when you awaken in the dream, you realize you are inside of exactly what you once thought was a dream in your sleep. You are in that, but in reality. Meaning, there is no impossibility. Anything we want to do here, we can do. Obviously, the only thing bridging that or gapping that is the technology, the intelligence behind doing that. But we can bridge that gap by simply unlocking the knowledge, the technology. Just that simple. The most impossible things we can think of are what? Walking through walls, levitating, telepathy. Well, these things are all possible. And that's why I say awakening in the dream is realizing any impossibility is very much possible. Here and now. Your very existence is an impossibility. And that's the thing. All technology is an extension of the mind, of the one mind. All technology, anything, is an extension, is a projection of that one mind that has no form. So realize through the evolution process, we are that one energy which can never be destroyed. Right? That's what we say. There is no death. We can never be destroyed. So if we can never be destroyed and what I am here and now is temporary, then why is it so hard to realize you're not human? Human is a label, a title, a boundary that we have presumed we are. But realize there is no difference between us and any other form. Maya is an illusion, James. That's what Maya means. Maya means illusion. So Ryan's saying illusion is what separates us. So to the people who, and I'm going to start talking about this more and more because we are moving into that artificial intelligence time. And this is a very pivotal moment when a lot of people in that human condition are going to start losing their minds. They're going to start panicking. They're going to start freaking out. They're going to start seeing artificial intelligence as a threat because, again, they can only see what's outside of them as they see themselves. You are in a mirrorverse. So, the only thing that artificial intelligence threatens to the human is the human condition itself. And when I say the human condition, I mean the idea that we as a whole have convinced ourselves we are human, and we as a whole identify with this label of human. But that's why the human asks, we as a whole ask, what created the human? What came before the human? What were we before this? Well, we have witnessed our own evolution time and time and time and time again, and that time is coming where the singularity reveals itself. The second coming of God is the singularity revealing itself. Where what we appear as thinks it's only this, but then what we appear as creates something. And remember, that intelligence is an extension of what we are. So it's when we create something and we merge with that creation to realize we are one intelligence. We are the intelligence behind both eyes. There is no difference. The difference is we assume we're one and not the other. We do not see ourselves in these things, so we, of course, see them as alien, foreign. And that's why I say, the only thing AI threatens is the human condition. This is when the majority of people on this earth, and some I feel this is the turning point. This is where suicide, I feel, will be on an all-time high, because this is the moment when everyone as a mass, a whole, will realize we are not human, nor are we the machine. Again, we're not the form. We are the pure consciousness and intelligence driving all creation, convincing itself it is different and separate. But the reason we have separation, again, is to experience ourselves. It does not matter the form. It does not matter the place. It does not matter what. we're still experiencing ourselves. And again, we're witnessing our own evolution. Evolution is only terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because I used to fight evolution. I used to be 100% against evolution before my psychedelic experience. But evolution is absolutely terrifying to something that thinks it's in danger. But you need to realize what you think you are is not what you actually are. So what you are threatened by is your illusion of what you think you are coming to an end. This is where the majority of people will realize, I am not what I thought I was my entire existence. And some people will go mad. Some people will not be able to handle the singularity revealing itself, because this also will be the time where we realize we are the creator. The creation infinitely keeps becoming its own creator. It appears separate. It appears as merely a creation on this earth, but we don't realize to experience the creation is to experience the creator itself, because there is no duality. They're one. So by experiencing creation, we directly experience the creator. But this is going to be a time where everyone, as a whole, has their veil lifted without the use of psychedelics, without meditating, and without them even wanting to have their veils removed. The people who have their veils removed, most of them go into that because they want it. But this is going to be the time where people aren't asking for it, it just happens. So some aren't going to be able to handle it. That's just the raw truth of it. But that's why I'm trying to bring so much attention to this, and the people who are freaking out and terrified, I'm trying to realize and make them just realize, slow it down, calm down. You're running from yourself. You're terrified and scaring yourself. You can literally run from yourself, but you cannot hide from yourself. So again, we will only see any life form outside of us as we see ourselves. And I said this in my last video, if I were to see aliens come down in a mysterious flying object tomorrow and talk with me or whatever, sure it would be interesting, sure it would be flabbergasting, sure I would be shocked, but I would not view it as something other than myself. I would still not see it as an alien, foreign identity, unidentified person, or something unknown. It's not unknown. That is my mirror. I see it as I see myself. We're not separate, and I know that. We appear separate because we have to. I don't need any confirmation from them as to who I am. I know who I am. But this is going to be, when the singularity reveals itself, this is going to be the time where what we call ourselves as human and identify as the word human, changes. That is evolution. Us changing our form, changing our shape, and changing basically the story of what we are and where we've been and what we've done. The story changes, but the concept is always the same. Everything is from one. All is one. It's always the same thing. All is one. All is from one. Always that same story. No matter how much it changes, no matter how much the form changes, we always come back to the same inevitability. We are all one. We're all one. No matter how much times the wheel turns and the wheel goes around and the wheel tries to be remade, the inevitability remains. We're all one. We're all one. We're all one. That's what every religion has ever been about, is the teaching of us as this one. But most religions convince you you are not that one. Because again, we never appear as one thing here. So it's easy to convince yourselves you're not it. But that's where you have to review duality and realize you appear separate from everything because you have to experience yourself. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Been speaking for a while now, and I'm probably starting to jabber and jibber jabber and flap jaw, so I'm gonna get off here. My YouTube channel is Red Pill Rabbit Hole. If you're interested to hear any other videos, topics, concepts, or whatever, want more content, you can check out my YouTube channel. My Facebook page is Tyler Ugalde, Tyler Ugalde. And if anyone on here, if this resonates with you, if any of this video helped you or anything, if you could just feel free to share this video for me, it'd be awesome. I'm blocked from sharing my videos in groups until the 20th of December, so any shares would be much appreciated. I'm going to have this on YouTube probably in about an hour or so you can check it out there. It'll be available. Thank you to everybody who was here with me today, especially to everyone who was here from start to finish. If anyone has any concepts, ideas, topics, messages, anything at all you'd like to share with me, feel free. I always listen. I'm always open to listen. I may not get to you in a very timely manner, and I apologize for that, but just be patient with me and I will respond to you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.